Hi everyone, my name's Anne-Marie. Welcome to this card making project. Now in this project we're going to use the new Griffin decorative edge dies, and we're going to make a card that's slightly different to our normal cards because it's a little bit of a shaped card, but I'll walk you through it all. Everything I do use I shall put in a detailed list on my blog, so please feel free to check that out. There's always lots of photos of the projects as well, so if you prefer to look at photos, you check those out rather than watch the video, even though how would you know if you don't watch the video? So please do both. So it's just the case of there's so many other projects on my blog for you to check out, so there's something for everybody. Always feel free to share. You can always comment on Facebook and on my blog and I can get back to you. You can comment on YouTube, but I can't get back to you there. Okay, so let's get on. So the first thing I've done is I've taken a piece of the Griffin double-sided cardstock and I've cut it, ignore these two elements at the moment, I've cut it into a strip that was 7 inches deep by 12 inches because the double-sided cardstock comes in 12 by 12, so it was literally 7 deep and then cut it along there, so it's 12 inches. And then I've taken 2 of the decorative edge dies and I've simply positioned them to the edge of the cardstock, and then I've die cut it, and then I've turned the die around and I've die cut it at the other side. And then, to be very honest, I then trimmed one edge, and so the width is actually roughly 6.8, so it's 6 inches 8 fractions of an inch, if that makes sense. I'll put the measurements on my blog, but it was simply to trim it to the edge of the decorative die. So then I measured in 1/2 inch, and the area in the middle is the 6.8 by 6 inches. Then where I've measured in and I've scored, I've simply folded the 2 edges over. So I hope all that makes sense, and you're following. You know, I know measurements aren't sort of my thing either, but it's just the case of it was really simple. I measured something that was 7 inches deep and I just cut it along and then put the 2 edge dies at either side, and then I just trimmed it. I think it always starts getting complicated when people throw in measurements, so it was just the case of I cut the card and then used the dies and then trimmed it. So it wasn't so much as thought out, because funnily enough, when I started this project, putting things together, I didn't quite know where we were going to go with it. I was a bit worried about where it was going to end, but I think we've got there. I think when we see the finished card we will have. So I've measured into the card so that the 2 decorative sides fold over and in. And then I'm going to use my bone folder to make sure those edges that I've folded in are nice and sharp, like that. There we go. So that gives us a really pretty base for a card. Now obviously the inner section, with it being a stranger shape, it's going to either need a handmade envelope or a 7 by 7 size envelope. It would fit in there. Personally, I think a card like this you would be handing to a person and you maybe wouldn't even make an envelope for it because it's so pretty. You would just want them to see it instantly. And especially if you were making it into wedding invitations, how cool would that be? You could just imagine it with the little bow at the front and they open it and you are invited to. Well, that would be so good. Okay, So I'm getting off track there. So we're going to decorate the middle rather than the outside. And I'm going to start off with a piece of Anna's glitter cardstock in the most gorgeous tealy blue that I just think is such a pretty colour. Now I've cut it to fit, and I'm hoping I'm going to get it kind of central. There we go. Kind of central. That'll do. So then we have another layer, and we could have been economical with this one, but I think the weight of it, we need it for the standing up, because it's going to be an odd one that if it stands up, it stands up. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Sometimes, you know, with the opening cards, the balance of them can be a little bit off. So don't worry about that, because people always normally lean them up against the clock or whatever on the mantelpiece. So our next layer is another piece of the double-sided cardstock, and it's the same cardstock that we've used for the outside of the card. And I've just got double-sided tape on the back of it. So I'm simply just marrying those layers up to make it all just really, really posh, because that just looks so pretty. So next, what I'm going to do with it is I've got one of the fancy flourish dies, and I've used the same glitter cardstock that we've used for the layer at the back, and I've taken it through my Xyron machine to get the adhesive on the back of it. It works so well with the fancy flourish dies, does the Xyron. Next, I'm using a couple of pieces from the topiary, I'm saying topiary because it is topiary, from the Treillage collection from Anna, the die cuts, and I've simply picked out the die cuts I want, and I've taken them through the Xyron machine. So I'm putting the topiary tree just through the centre of the card. Just check we're in the centre, yep. And press that down nicely. And then I've also got one of Anna's favourite sentiment stickers. And I'm using this as is. Sometimes I add 3D foam on the back of them. But I'm just going to use this as it is. And I'm simply going to position it just over the centre of the topiary. Which I know you're thinking, oh, you're losing some of it. We are, but don't worry. You know, don't panic. So that's our sentiment. And then the two hydrangeas that I've taken through the Xyron machine, I'm simply going to add at either side of our sticker, like so. Because don't forget, this is something a little bit different. A very simple card, but very different, she says. So we've added our two hydrangeas, and then we're going to add a little bow just underneath, like so. And that's the inside of our card finished. But what I do have, just for the outside, is from the fancy French fan dies, there is a little tassel. And I've cut out the little tassel, and I'm simply going to position it just on the front of our decorative sides, like so. And I've actually just tied a little bit of ribbon at the top of it. Very thin ribbon, it's 3mm satin ribbon. And that just finishes the front off perfectly. So it's something a little bit different, very pretty. Now we'll see if it stands up. I'm not sure that it will. Oh, it will. There we go. It'll go in a normal envelope because it's not too, it's not too high. But when I say normal envelope, a 7x7 would probably be ideal. And the back of it, because you've used your double-sided cardstock. So it's just something a little bit different. So please be sure to check it out on my blog. I hope it's given you a few ideas. You can use the decorative dies on your cards, in your cards. There's just so many options. But I thought this would be really cool for something a little bit different to show you the edges. Because that must give you ideas to go on for wedding invitations, to do so many different things. So I do hope you've enjoyed it. Please share with your crafty friends. Please give me the thumbs up. I always forget to say that actually. Please feel free to comment. I can reply to you on Facebook and on my blog, but I can't reply to you on YouTube. So, and thanks for your messages. I've had some great messages and I love them. Keep them coming. Whether you email me directly or you just contact me through Facebook, they're great, thank you. I'm so glad you appreciate the videos. And I know this is an Anna video, and I'm sorry we don't do spellbinders anymore at the moment. It's out of my control. So, just bear with me. I'm looking for something different or to do something more for those days that we don't have those. But don't worry, we'll always stick with the Anna videos because I love those products. I love Anna as much as you do. So thanks for watching and I shall see you next time.